Welcome back to Superhero Cuts. It's your boy Jerry, aka Comics Cuts, known by the Watcher. Stevie, how you doing?
Good, brother. How are you today, my man?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I got a couple of complaints, but I'll probably spill it throughout the show. Anyway, it is Fantastic Four week, so we have a lot to talk about. Kevin Feige was very smart, and he saw that everyone was talking about Superman. So he let Variety interview him, and now it is a Kevin Feige episode. So now to get into the docket, first thing we're going to talk, Kevin Feige has spoken. Number two, the MCU planned for Avengers after Secret Wars. Then Kevin Feige on shifting from Kang to Doctor Doom, and shift Kevin Feige on Miles Morales in the MCU, on quality over quantity, on the X-Men reboot, on the MCU recast, myself up. Spider-Man Brand New Day, Fantastic Four in Doomsday. Kevin Feige is not leaving Marvel anytime soon. Loki writer Michael Waldron is working on Doomsday, and Kevin Feige still wants Chris Hemsworth to stay on as Thor. So we got a big episode for you guys today. We hope you're pumped. We are in July. We've been waiting for this month for so long. Superman, Fantastic Four. Come on, bro.
Bro, this is like one of the greatest months probably all year. And guys, just so you know, guys, my son is hopefully going to be born next week.
Let's
Pray with me,
go.
y'all, because if he pops on Fantastic Four, I will go out. And they you telling my wife to curb walk. I'm like, Emily, you're not touching the curb till Friday.
Yeah.
Don't walk, don't do nothing. Just sit on the couch and work from home.
That's
Like,
hysterical.
yeah, bro, we've been laughing about it, but bro, we have been. And dude, this feels like not the end of the road, but dude, we've been talking about F4 for a hot minute, bro. I mean, all the way from freaking Adam Driver castings to, I mean, Penn. Remember when they said that Penn Badgley was in the running?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, dude, and then Margot Robbie was going to be Sue Storm for a while. Like,
Bro, there
dude,
were so many crazy rumors about this cast.
bro, it's funny when you take a look at it. So the payoff is finally here. All right.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige ended up speaking up. I want to ask you because I do feel like some people are like wondering why now, because Feige isn't the one to talk much, as we've seen in history, as we have talked about. So, bro, why do you think Feige chose now to speak up about the MCU and not just about not even about Doomsday? He's talking about the future. Why? Like, why do you think now?
I think he wants hype. I mean, we are going into Fantastic Four, and you have to realize at the end of Thunderbolts was when the Doomsday era began. At the end of Thunderbolts, we finally saw the Avengers logo for the first time in like a really long time. I mean, yeah, it was kind of in Thunderbolts, the Avengers logo, but we really saw it, and we really were talking about the Avengers for the first time, like seriously, in a long time. And no, I don't really count that offhand conversation that Sam had with Ross, but now that Fantastic Four is happening, we are really going into Avengers Doomsday, and Feige wanted to build the hype up, and he knows that going into Avengers Doomsday, Fantastic Four box office is important. And listen, I don't think Fantastic Four is going to be amazing in box office. I'd be surprised if you could add Fantastic Four to Superman and have it hit $1 billion. Okay, like that's just where we're at. But I think he wants to build hype, and he knows that it counts now. This isn't like the time to have what was her name? Oh, that annoying little girl, America Chavez, take the stage from Doctor Strange. Like, you can't be calling no agenda-driven BS at this point. And yeah, he made some comments on that, but that's kind of what he has always said, and I don't really buy it. Listen, he said a lot of good things, but you have to realize these are corporate executives in Hollywood. They have closed door conversations where they are honest, and then they have when they are talking to the press, they are telling us what they want us to think.
Amen.
It doesn't necessarily mean everything they say is true.
Preach, brother. Great point.
Yep.
Great point. And I agree with everything you say, bro. I think that Feige, this was the perfect time, just as you said earlier, this was the perfect time to speak because, Superman is taking a lot of, press, and given the fact that Superman's marketing, just strategy was as on the title, it was a bombshell, the freaking marketing and the news that Feige just gave us is insane. So, and I talked about this a while ago saying that, James Gunn might have started, a new trend where he's the guy now. I mean, James Gunn did an interview with the Josh Horowitz guy last week too, where he talked about some of the future DCU stuff too. And so this could be a new trend where we see new studio heads. Did you know someone else who could really benefit from this? Star Wars. Because, and I also like this because there are, and even though they didn't get to the stuff I wanted, like if I was interviewing him, the first question is T'Challa. Like, where's your head with that? I'm not gonna lie, that'll be the first thing I'll ask him. But there are certain questions that that we always talk about on the show. And even though these people are kind of shills, you know what I mean? It is cool that some of the questions that we have, we did get answers to, and so now because there's so many rumors going around, bro, that it's good to have a definite, kind of answer to some things. So not right.
What's interesting to me is I think that for some reason now, and I kind of know what the reason is, but all of a sudden everyone's talking about shills and everyone's kind of like, oh, I'm not a shill. I'm not a shill. If you have to go out and say you're not a shill, like that's a bad sign. Okay. And I think a lot of it is because you see a lot of people that get invited to these press screeners and, a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you can't trust what they say after they see the movie because they want to get invited back. And I could understand that perspective, but like, if you're listening to someone and you can't tell if they're honest or not, that's kind of on you. Maybe there is an intelligence gap here and some people are able to spot a liar and some people aren't. But like, there are a lot of content creators that are completely full of it. Okay. And if you're waiting to decide if they're honest or not based on like the press screener, fan screener or whatever that they got invited to a premiere, and like you're waiting to see if they lied to you in that review and you've been following them for a while, that's kind of on you. You should know if someone's full of it or not, if you've been following them and they've been talking about movies that you've been watching. Like, I don't know. I don't know why that's such a difficult thing to grasp for people.
Exactly. And by the way, we've kept it pretty 100. Not even pretty. We've kept it super 100. Like we said in the heat of Superman that we're still more excited for Fantastic Four. I mean, like, I don't know how honest you think that we get when everyone in our space was just flowing to Superman, and crying about it. Like, we've kept it super 100 since day one, and and look, sometimes, guys, and I'm not gonna lie, there are times where I, like, for me, Deadpool and Wolverine was like a wake up call for me personally, because I got so caught up in the hype that I thought Deadpool Wolverine was peak. And then when it got on streaming and I watched it, I said, oh my God, this is not that good. You know what I mean?
You pissed me off with that because I asked you how it was and you were like 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
and then I watched it, I'm like, bro, it wasn't that good.
Yeah, but look, I got so caught up in the hype, and that for me was a wake up call. That's why going into Superman, all of my friends were shocked that I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm like, look, I love the movie, but that's my score, and this time around, guys, I really kept the level head when it's so easy to it could have been so easy to fall into the Superman hype, and I'm trying to do the same with Fantastic Four, just removing my bias, I'm saying, and really, looking at the movie as it stands on its 10 toes, and so that's the content that you get from us here.
I saw a kid, I think it was on Instagram, I commented like an eye roll emoji. I want to name him so bad, and I'm not going to. But what I will do is I'll give you a very easy description of him if you know him. He has something in his bio that indicates that he's woke, and he what's the other thing? Oh, he always cosplays. It seems like I don't follow him, He like lives in cosplay as Fantastic Four. So you kind of know what I'm talking about. And you know, the video that I saw, I don't really know him, but the video that I saw was him freaking out that people had a problem with Joseph Quinn's comments about this Johnny Storm not being like a womanizer or whatever. And he was like, you guys don't know Johnny Storm. Like, bro, you're only defending it because it's woke. Okay. And it's like at some point, we just are going to call it out. Okay. Not at some point. I always do it. But like, I'm so sick of the people on one side of the aisle that like anytime they identify something as that, they are defending it. It's like if you go to my TikTok and you look at the comments for my Shalabal video on like when I was like, stop pretending that the Silver Surfer thing was a good idea. All the comments are like defending it. And like, they're not defending it because they think it's a good idea. They're defending it because they understand it's a political decision and they side with that. It's like, it's just so annoying. Like, shut up.
Yeah, we just want it all out the movies. Like, I'm cool off it, you know. So hopefully, you know, and Fantastic Four seems like they're doing a lot of things right now. I'm loving everything with the Fantastic Four right now. And some of the shots that they're doing, and even the reviews of it being so visually amazing, like that's really big words to come from a Marvel file. So I'm loving it. All right, and all great points. But by the way, it is only one side, dude. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So all right, now let's get into some of Feige stuff. Okay, so Feige talked about Secret Wars, and there was two things that he talked about, but we'll talk about the first. He talked about that he revealed that there is a plan to reset singular timelines and reboot the MCU after Avengers Secret Wars.
Who told you it was a reset, not a reboot, by the way? Who told you that? That's a huge victory. He used the exact words that I did. The exact words. It's almost like
I
Kevin
knew you were going to
Feige
do this.
is
Dude,
watching.
bro, the funny thing is when I was typing this, I'm like, I'm about to get crap for this today. I knew you were going to remember.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So
I remember everything, okay?
Yeah. So how do you feel about Feige saying this one, bro?
Oh, bro, just music to my ears. Because, of course, this is why I knew it was a reset, not a reboot. Number one, I read the comics. Number two, they're not going to reboot it and toss out their legacy. The second they do a reboot and they're like, this is a new MCU, everything else is history and it's not a part of what they're doing. Yeah. And they get to have that storied history that is so successful, and they wouldn't be as successful as they are if they were making the kind of decisions of rebooting and throwing that away. So I knew it was going to be a reset because we're going in Secret Wars was a reset. Here's what you also have to understand about the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel and DC both do these major crossover events, and most of the time, Marvel does it as a crossover because they want to tell a story and they want to involve certain characters. DC does this more, but Marvel still does it, and they did it with Secret Wars. When DC does an event like Dark Crisis or something like that, they do it because they want to change the status quo within their line of comics, and they use events to change their universe. Secret Wars is an example of that. Secret Wars changed the Marvel universe, and it reset everything, and it put everything into one universe and not a multiverse, right? Yeah. And of course they're not going to do multiverse stuff. They know it wasn't successful, and they want to bring it all back to one timeline. And in order to do that, you do Secret Wars. And Secret Wars, the multiverse is going to go bye-bye. It's going to be one universe, and that one universe is going to have a lot of focus on the X-Men. And in order to do that, you do a reset, not a reboot.
Yeah.
In the comics, there was the Fantastic Four. When they finally did reboot it with the Dan Slott line, they kind of go around in space with Franklin, and Franklin births a whole new multiverse. It's pretty cool. But, for the time being, it was Secret Wars. And then it was just 2-in-1 when Fantastic Four wasn't being published. They just did 2-in-1. And it was really the Thing and uh, Johnny, the Human Torch, and they were kind of traveling and looking for Reed and Sue. But yeah,
Yeah. So and it is true, guys. Like reading the comics is what helped me understand like a little more. And like you and I had kind of a revisited convo where you and I aligned in the same area. You know what I'm saying? And you are right.
what do
Like
you
when
mean? Which
you
combo?
just about the whole singular timeline reset. Like you and I were, I think we were talking about it in on TikTok, whatever. We were texting about it, and I was like more like aligning. And I really think, guys, the issue was because I took the word reboot so literally, and like when I thought about the word reboot, I was like, okay, so everything's just starting over. You know what I mean? Not the idea that that it is this idea of like this story is going to take us to this new world, but that doesn't mean that our entire history is kind of washed away. So he is right. Like reading the comics does help you get a lot of and when I read Secret Wars, it kind of clicked in my mind. Like, okay, that's where they're trying to go. It's not like and the reason why is because I kept thinking of like a DC approach where they kind of just chalk everything and just restart. And so yeah, that's a very very great point. But I love this idea. One singular timeline, we get Reed interacting with the freaking Cyclops or whoever. Count me in, bro. Count me in. Count me in. I'm excited. Oh man, this is gonna be lit. All right, now let's read some comments here. This is about to be a fire podcast. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Jalen, what's up, my dog? Hope you're doing good, man. What's up? Hungry Almighty. Hope you're doing good. It feels like it's been a while since we had a lot of Marvel news, bro, right? And to me, it feels like since they're not doing a big thing at Comic-Con is another, reason why he also dropped this too. With DC doing Brave and Bold, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, and Lanterns and Elseworlds like Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2, now is not the time for Marvel to be fooling around. Hungry, did you also hear about that one lady? She's writing Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, and she also wrote Supergirl. They have this one girl that like I guess her writing's fire because she's writing on 3 projects. Crazy. Do I believe these press screeners are shills? Yeah, some of them, but at the end of the day, it's your fault if you're listening because it's ultimately your opinion that matters by watching it for yourself.
One of them, and I'm not going to name him, but it's going to be pretty obvious who it is, and I'm going to start doing that because like a lot of these people deserve to be named. And I'm just going to make it super easy. But he said, like, the Fantastic Four was visually the best thing Marvel ever did, but the story or the plot didn't really do it for him. Like, to me, that was a review that he put out to what's the word I'm looking for? To keep a healthy relationship with Marvel. Like he obviously didn't like the plot, and the best thing he could say about the movie were the visuals. And I know you get a lot of people online that love to comment on CGI and visuals. And like, listen, if you are someone who, first of all, if you're someone who's criticizing CGI and you don't even realize that you're not getting 3D sound, like you are so dumb that I don't even want to hear you talk about CGI because you don't even know anything about sound. You don't know anything about visuals. All you know is like, oh, it's bad CGI because you heard someone else say it. So that's one thing. But like the visuals don't always make or break the story. Yes, obviously, when it's a good movie, you want the best of the best. But sometimes the CGI is not that great, but the movie is still awesome. Like the plot is the biggest thing. So if someone's review is like, the movie was amazing because the visuals were great, but the plot was that's a bullshit review. And it's a review that he worded a very specific way so he could kind of be honest, but still keep the relationship he has with Marvel.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I'll tell you guys the funniest interview or the funniest post movie review of all time. Watch John Campia's reaction after he watched The Rise of Skywalker. It is the funniest reaction ever. The man said, a lot of people loved it, but not me. he's so he's so funny. And mind you, bro, he's outside of the bar or he's outside of the Star Wars party. Like that man is as honest as they come. I love John Campbell, bro. He's so funny. I will never forget that clip. It lives forever in my brain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, he's so funny. But yeah, man. Okay. Bro, Deadpool and Wolverine is a solid 6 out of 10, and you thought that the second and I thought that the second I was done with it, once I saw the Anchor Being bull jive, I was like, this is so stupid.
I said the Anchor Being thing was stupid the day I found out about it. And Stevie, you were like, nah, it might be cool. Let's
Yeah,
wait.
I
Let's wait.
definitely was on the Anchor Being wave. I definitely was.
Yeah,
I
that
definitely
shit
was.
is so whack.
Both
By
no
the
way.
way, you know what I love about this Kevin Feige article?
Mm.
I love that he went and talked about Kang and mistakes. They didn't even mention the Anchor Being concept. Okay. They are just going to pretend that never
happened,
happened.
right?
They are never going to talk about it again. That's how important Deadpool and Wolverine is to the Marvel universe.
Both no way home. Oh my gosh, guys. This is Comic Cuts, the Watcher, in full form and fashion. I love it. Both No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine are cash grabs, but at least No Way Home you can justify because Toby and Andrew Spidey never got a proper conclusion and left a bad taste in fans' mouths. Hugh Wolvie coming back was a. By the way, No Way Home is such a good movie, and by the way, one of the best rewatches I've ever done. My friend Josh, he was at my house on Friday, and me and him we literally watched Spider Man, and he was like, "Bro, this is such a good movie. It is. No Way Home is a really good movie. And I think you're the one that told me to watch it like a while ago. And when I did, I was like, man, this movie is really good. It is a good movie. In the old Fox X movies, Jean died at the end of The Last Stand, but then the Days of Future Past, reset the timeline to where Jean is still alive. Could see something similar. Maybe that's how RDJ Iron Man is still alive post Secret Wars. I have no idea how they're going to do that. I don't think the multiverse will be entirely gone because of Sony. I don't think the multiverse will be entirely gone either, but they're not going to talk about it for a minute. That's at least the way
Yeah.
I see it.
And like they also spoke about Miles. Miles isn't coming for a long time. So I promise you, they are not worried about, oh, well, we got to keep the multiverse to some extent so we could bring Miles in. They're not worried about Miles right now.
Yep. All right, now let's talk about I want to talk about one more thing. And bro, I wanted you to use your knowledge to explain this because I was reading some comments on some of the pages and they were confused about what this means. So Kevin Feige says Avengers Secret Wars will be about new beginnings, right? It very very much sets up for the future. Endgame literally was about endings. Secret Wars is about the new. So some people, as I saw comments, they were like, "What does Kevin Feige mean by that?" I was trying to see if you had some insight on maybe what he means by like that. This movie is setting up the future of Marvel.
Yeah. So first of all, what I love about this is like when I rewatch Infinity War or Endgame, as great as they are, like there's nothing. It's all about the past. You know, sometimes I want something that's newer Marvel, and I want to watch Infinity War, but it's all about the past. There's nothing about the future. Obviously, that's not going to be the case with Doomsday and Secret Wars, mainly Secret Wars. But Secret Wars was the incursions take place. And for those of you that don't know, an incursion is when two Earths collide. They either both explode and die, or one of them survives. There is what you should also know is about the antimatter injection device, which Reed Richards creates. And it was Namor, because he's the only one who had the balls to use it, but they explode the other Earth before they collide, so they don't risk their Earth also exploding. And those are the only things that could happen in an incursion.
Yeah.
3 outcomes. Anyway, because of all those incursions from the multiverse, Doctor Doom created Battle World. And on Battle World, there were different factions. There were the Thors, there were trying to remember. Anyway, but there were different factions.
Yeah, the Hawks.
So what I'm assuming is that some of those factions of people are going to be the new X-Men, maybe. And maybe we'll see. I don't think we're going to see the new X-Men in Avengers Doomsday. And it's a little early to tell, but like, I kind of think that that's what that comment means, because what better time all these people have to come from different planets. Battle World isn't a natural planet. It was created by Doctor Doom from scraps of planets that died from the incursions from the multiverse. So nobody is native to Battleworld. Do you understand that? Does that make sense? So the people that go to Battleworld had to come from other Earths. I think some of those Earths are going to be like the new cast of X-Men and new characters that they want to bring in. And I think it would be smart for them to do it that way because obviously they know Avengers Secret Wars is going to be a major cultural moment and it's going to be like $1 billion movie. It's Avengers, Doctor Doom, everything. So what better chance do you have to introduce billions of dollars in ticket sales to the big new stars that you want to promote right after Secret Wars, So this way you get to establish the new X-Men team to all these people that just bought $1 billion worth of tickets and hype up your next couple movies and the next phase of the MCU. So I think it's a strategic plan. I think it also makes sense. But I do think that they are going to change a bit from Secret Wars from the comics in order to do so, which is okay. And what people need to understand about comic accuracy is a lot of people don't understand which parts of comic accuracy is important. Like some people are like, oh, well, Zack Snyder did the Dark Knight Rises cover in Batman vs. Superman. So of course the rest of the movie is comic accurate. Like that is just an intellectually inferior train of thought. Comic accuracy matters about when it comes to the characters and the characterizations. Taking some inspiration from a comic book and changing the story to make a new original story is fine. We just want the characters to be comic accurate. The characters that we know work in the comics, the ones that we love, fine. If they're a little less popular and no one really cares about, fine. Or if I don't care as much about Superman as I do Batman, so I don't really care about the Jor-El thing. Things like that. Or I don't really like Green Arrow's politics, so when they, made it a little more subtle in the Arrowverse, I was fine with that. And people will have a little give and take there, but what? Green Arrow isn't Batman. You can't change things with someone like Batman or Superman and not have complaints. You want to change something on someone like Star-Lord, Peter Quill, very few people are going to even notice to complain. So it goes like that. But I do think Secret Wars is going to take a lot of inspiration from the comics, but I do think a lot of it is going to be a new and original story. And who wants a one-to-one story anyway? I love Secret Wars. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. But I don't want to watch the movie and get the same exact story that I've read in the comic. I want a new original story. You know what I mean? And I think that as great as the DCAU is, and I love the DCAU, and I might knock the fact that people hold it in such a high regard, as if it's the source material sometimes, but I really do enjoy those movies. They're great. But a lot of them are very close to one-to-one adaptations. And I think it works for the DCAU, but that's an hour and 20-minute movie that you're watching at home. This is a much bigger thing. This is Avengers Secret Wars. It's going to be a 2.5 to 3-hour movie in theaters. Okay. So yeah. If you have any questions on what I'm talking about, let me know. If not, Steve, if you have anything to add.
Now, I would just say that, accuracy means a lot. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're redoing the Harry Potter show, because there were just certain things that, the team and JK want to do that's more honorable to the book. But here's the thing. The changes that they made is what made the Harry Potter movies $1 billion, firm. You know what I mean? And the Feige has made some good changes to characters that have made them blow up. You know what I mean? So and hopefully they keep that same thing, because this last round of changes haven't been the best. But I do agree with everything you're saying, bro. The future is looking bright, and I do, and that has been on my mind, bro. If they were to put the new X-Men in there, I would be shocked.
The other thing, by the way, is, and I don't think people that don't read comics really understand this, but there is always an opportunity to do something that is so groundbreaking that it reinvents the character. For example, what Frank Miller did with The Dark Knight Rises and redefining Batman forever.
Good point.
You know, what Warren Ellis did with Extremis and Iron Man in the 2000s and redefined him for the post 9/11 era. Like, certain comics have redefined characters, and it's almost like I know I always use this analogy, but BC and AD, you know, like before Jesus Christ and after Jesus Christ died, like everything changed. And I don't want to say that live action can't do that, because I think live action in a way did that for like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think it can happen, but I think it's more likely that it will happen in comics. And if a character is super popular and everyone already loves him, chances are you're not going to see that happen as much, because it's kind of hard to change something if everyone already don't, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, in Infinity War and Endgame are the perfect examples. I mean, Endgame is so good that there's a new comic now that took inspiration from the movie cover with the faded U, which, by the way, that cover is sick.
They did two. They did another one. Hold on, I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, that cover is sick, bro.
They did the full poster, bro. Where is it?
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's so sick, bro. Oh my gosh, that's so sick.
So sick.
That's fire. Yeah, bro. They're cooking. I can't wait to read that.
Yeah, bro. You should read the current Ultimate Universe, because you're not going to want to just go into that.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I definitely need to. Yeah, I'm definitely going to find a reading list and start just studying up, because those covers got me inspired. All right, wait. I think there was a chat. Let me see.
By the way, that one you got to put switching from Kang to Doom. I think you had it in reverse.
Okay, thanks, bro. Hey, bro, can you read that chat while I?
Yeah, the characters need to be comic accurate, but the rest of the story can be changed and be its own thing. Agreed. Also, it's very hard to adapt the comic one-to-one to movie format. I would love a Jeff Johns Green Lantern in movie form, but that would take like 10 movies. Yeah, 100%. And that's why I think like they could do things like, obviously they're not doing origin stories, but if you are going to do a Green Lantern origin story, obviously you go with Secret Origin. And you know, if you are going to do Green Lantern, like big Green Lantern movie, I mean, I just hope they do Blackest Night, bro. Blackest Night would go so hard.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
That would be one of the greatest comic book movies of all time.
I lose my mind. Or, you know, Sinestro Corps War is really good. And, bro, the new Jeremy Adams Green Lantern run is amazing.
I got to check it out.
Fractured Spectrum event that they did was so sick.
Really?
Yeah, bro, so sick. And they're almost at like 30 issues, so it's deep. You got a lot to read there.
Yeah, I have to catch up on that. That's fire. Yeah. That's fire. And that's why, dude, I love that I have so much to read, bro. I'll be reading so much now. I love it, bro.
I'm jealous. I'm always looking for
it's so addictive.
Yeah.
That's my fear, is that like when I get done everything, it's probably gonna be like another year. And now that I'm at the kid, I'm gonna be home all the time, dude. I'm gonna read so much, bro. Oh. All right, let's see. What's next one here? Okay, Kevin Feige talked about the shift from Kang to Doctor Doom. He said this: even before what had happened with Jonathan, we had started to realize that Kang was not Thanos. We had started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. In fact, I had started talking with Robert about this audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. So, as you being probably like the biggest Kang enthusiast on the internet, honestly,
I hate that word, enthusiast.
Okay, Kang. I'm gonna say, for you being like the biggest like pusher of Kang staying in the MCU and possibly like being recast or something, how does this make you feel? Like, what were your thoughts about this piece when he started talking about, you know, just the switch from Kang to Doom?
You know, I disagree. I don't think that Kang like couldn't be as popular as Thanos. I think it was mishandled, and like he never should have been the villain of an Ant-Man movie, you know? And it seemed like they were like scraping the bottom of the barrel. And I like Ant-Man, don't get me wrong, but like it seemed like they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for characters. And like Kang is a really dope character. Kang has a lot of great comics, and I'm a huge fan of the character. I think it's really cool how he uses like time as a weapon. It's just like he's so unique, but I don't really buy this. I think that this was a very diplomatic answer. You have to keep in mind that when he talks about Kang, they had to talk about firing someone for a very public and controversial, high profile case that they can't just be like, Kang sucked and like we had to get rid of him. Like they have to be very careful in how they talk about it. It's also probably a legal thing. So I don't think that's the case. Also, Bo DeMaio, I'm trying to find the exact tweet, but
Yeah, I saw his tweet. I know you're
yeah,
talking. I saw
he
it. Yeah.
was like, Feige is lying. Like I was at a movie with another Disney exec.
He
Like,
had Kang in his season 2 for X-Men, right? He said.
yeah, exactly. They were talking about having Kang in season 2 for X-Men or something like that. So it's complete bogus. And I think that what happened was, I think maybe I do think they very could have well realized that Kang wasn't working out the way they hoped it would. And firing Jonathan Majors just made it easier. But I don't think that they were just like, yeah, Kang isn't Thanos. And then I don't buy this. I think that it's very nuanced. And I think there's like a lot of half truths in this. And because there's a lot of half truths, it's really difficult to speculate on what actually went down. And it sucks because we probably will. We're not going to see Kang in the MCU for at least another like 10 years. Okay. So it is what it is. But if there's one person that they could replace Kang with, it's Doctor Doom. So,
Yeah.
But they're going to have to establish Doctor Doom. And what's interesting about Doctor Doom is also very similar with Pedro Pascal as Reed. There are a lot of people that are not convinced that Pedro Pascal was a good casting as Reed. There are also a lot of people that are not convinced that Robert Downey Jr. is a good casting as Doctor Doom. So their two biggest castings going into the next Avengers cycle are doubted by a lot of people. Now, from what we've heard, and Robert Meyer Burnett, who I'm a huge fan of, he said he spoke to one of his friends who he trusts very much. And this was a couple weeks ago. That friend saw Fantastic Four First Steps and told Robert Meyer Burnett that he loved the movie. And Robert Meyer Burnett described it this way. He said, my friend was reluctant to admit that Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards and absolutely delivered. So that is comforting to hear. Comforting. Pause. That was a weird word to use. It's reassuring. And Doctor Doom. Listen, I think Robert Downey Jr. is a great actor. I think he's going to deliver as Doctor Doom. I was more sure of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom than I was as Pedro as Reed. But doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of people that think it's a lazy cash grab. By the way, I hate the word cash grab. It's a business. It's all for cash. You fucking idiot.
Yeah. Like that's the point, to make money.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah, dude, people are stupid. Yeah, people are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid word.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I talked about this on my TikTok too. I thought that this quote was cap, and I didn't like. I didn't even like him saying this because when he first got Kang, the whole idea was that Kang was going to be different than Thanos because instead of having Thanos where he comes in the end, Kang was going to be everywhere because he has variants. And that was the whole point of Kang, was that Kang was going to show up in all these different, spots. And I don't think that they gave Kang enough time to even see if he was bigger than Thanos or not, because the only time we saw him was in Loki and we saw him in
One movie, Ant-Man
yeah,
Quantum
Ant-Man. And you left him out of your biggest movies. He was not in No Way Home. He was not in Doctor Strange. And he was not in Thor, Love and Frickin' Thunder. He was not in even Far From. I mean, you left Kang out of your big character, out of your big characters movies at the time. So how could you gauge if Kang was going to be, as big as you thought? I felt like on their part this is Feige trying to shift a poor decision that he made. You know what I mean? And because I remember when Kang first got announced, I thought dude was gonna be in No Way Home. I thought he was gonna be in all these other, movies. I thought he was gonna be in Doctor Strange. I mean, how do you have a movie called The Multiverse of Madness and Kang the Conqueror is not in it? Like that stuff to me is kind of insane. You know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense to me. So
That's why I call it multiverse, not so much madness.
yeah, bro. Like how would you not have Kang the Conqueror when that's the whole point of the freaking character, you know? And then, Kang had the dopest scenes in Ant-Man, and then, he loses. Like, it's crazy. And mind you, I don't hate the movie, so it's like, it's
I
whatever.
don't hate it either.
Yeah, like, it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie.
But
yeah.
the second they dropped Kang, I've never rewatched it since. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So,
and that's the thing, by the way, that's kind of similar about the reboot thing. Like, once you reboot it, it's like so much less relevant.
Exactly. And if you saw Major's performance in Loki, like he killed those performances and he was amazing as, he who remains. So it's like that's the only time where we really got to see him. Like, I mean, and yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp, but that was where you had to see him with another character that was very popular, and be able to talk. But like you leave him out of Spider-Man and Thor and all these things. It makes me question if you have faith with Jonathan to begin with. But in my opinion, I don't think when you're casting a character like this, you don't put it on tested ground. You throw it in the big stuff if that's your big character. And I felt like with Loki and Ant-Man, they were trying to do some type of weird testing. And it's like you don't test, you throw them in the fire and you see what happens. And and you have an actor like Jonathan Majors who is a chameleon, who comes from a cloth of being a great actor. And you just kind of wasted him, And yes, he got into his own problems, which I mean that's on him, right? But like you didn't even give Kang a chance. And I think that if Kang was in No Way Home, even Far From Home or Thor or Doctor Strange, I think we'll be having a whole different conversation, and I think Kang will be a lot bigger than what, people would think now.
When there are a lot of problems, a lot of times the actual issue is misdiagnosed. And I think that it's such a cop-out to say, Kang isn't Thanos. Like, bro, you never really gave him a chance, like Stevie said. And, you made a couple of missteps with your strategy around Kang. It wasn't that Kang didn't work. It was the strategy. And a lot of it comes down to, like, the just strategy around Multiverse of Madness and, making the dumbest TV shows. By the way, you know what I also hate is like when people are like, oh, well, you didn't like She-Hulk, like you're an idiot because the writers say that it was the most comic accurate version of the character. Well, maybe we don't like character. How's that? Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Comic accuracy isn't the only standard. But the other thing here is that, like, there were a lot of problems in the multiversal saga, and Kang isn't even on the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, even Shazam, like, I don't like Shazam as a character in general. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how comic accurate he's going to be. He's just so annoying to me. I don't know why. I just don't like Shazam. You know what I mean?
I think you just hate Zachary Levi. I don't think it's a Shazam thing. Did you come across him in a comic recently and he pissed you off?
I've seen him in some tie-ins, but he just hasn't shined to me. But it's just the whole kid turning into a hero thing. Did
you read Jeff Johns' Justice League?
Not yet.
Okay. So
not yet.
Oh, yeah. Bro. That's like my favorite Justice League run.
Yeah, you and I talked about that, right?
I don't know. I think you were asking about Scott Snyder recently.
Yeah, Scott Snyder and Tynion.
Yeah. It's all right. I mean, a lot of people have mixed opinions on it, which I don't really think that means anything because I don't trust comic reviews anymore.
Yeah.
But I wasn't loving the Scott Snyder Justice League run, but the Jeff Johns Justice League run is
gas.
Yeah, bro.
I'm gonna try it out.
And it ends in Darkseid War, which are you familiar? Like, how familiar are you with Fourth World?
Not that familiar yet.
So, Darkseid is from the Fourth World, and it will introduce you to a lot of Fourth World characters and concepts.
Yeah, because I've seen some in the animated films, but like I haven't gotten a deep dive. You know what I mean? Into it.
Yeah. bro, like that's a deep cut. Like once you know Fourth World, like you'll not that like they're so big and in everywhere in DC, but like most people that claim to know DC don't know Fourth World, and once you know Fourth World, like you'll have a big leg up.
Bet. Oh,
They're
bet.
dope as hell too. They're
Bet.
so dope.
I'm finna start that tonight. I was gonna start that
It's at
Flash,
the end, then it's like a 50
I think I'm
issue
gonna start
run.
Geoff Johns,
So you're gonna have a long time till you get to that.
Dang.
But bro,
How many issues is that?
I think it's like 40 or 50 total. Yeah.
Dude, whenever there's like a run that's over like 50 issues, dude, I get so excited, bro. Let's go.
It's the best because the writer has more time to
Yeah.
make such intricate plots, and like he gets a real chance to develop characters and all this stuff. So like, you know, it's not just because, oh yes, I get to binge on this for a while and not look for other comics as hard, but those runs are the best because the writer gets more time. It's New 52. Geoff Johns, like for the longest time, he wrote like everything at DC, but like, bro, he wrote everything because he was cooking. And the Dark Side War is sick. And bro, like the philosophy around life and like it's so, and Jack Kirby created it. So
dude, honestly, Geoff Johns is not talked about enough about how good he is, and he needs to be in combos for like, you know, top 10, top 5. Because and the thing about Geoff Johns that I like is that
it's Jeff, by the way.
Jeff, is that he can write both. He's good with short runs and longer. Like he can do both, bro. So it's like he knows how to flesh it out to make it long enough to last, where it doesn't feel like New 52 Superman, which is Power freaking Rangers, the same plot for 70 something issues. But you know, like he knows how to take like important things and place it in each issue to make you want to go back. Same thing of when I read New 52 Batman. Like we're switching from Court of Owls to Joker, and it's just like this is like it just the juices of like how great it is. It just doesn't stop, and it's like oh my god, like I need to read more. Like I love it, dude. I love comics so much, guys. I love comics. Like it's crazy.
It's like you're collecting lore, and you're always learning something new. It's the best. By the way, we need to come up with a better word than lore. Lore is I hate it. It sounds it sounds like elves and fantasy, and
it is very Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings type ish.
I was even asking ChatGPT. I was like, I hate the word lore, but I don't have a better word to use. And even ChatGPT was like, there isn't a 1-to-1 for it. Yeah, so we got to create something.
Facts. We got to come up with something new. Let's see. Also, it's very hard to adapt the comic 1-to-1 to movie format. I would love we did it right. Sorry. With Gunn saying the 3-year thing, what if they did Blackest Night, but the Justice Society and I'm so sorry.
No, we didn't do the Justice Society.
Oh, we didn't? Okay. So all right. Well, what if they did Blackest Night, but the Justice Society and old era heroes are the dead heroes that are revived by the Black Lanterns? Excuse me.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it.
It just can't be random. It has to be like built up in some way.
I think it's going to be difficult if they build it up by going into the past. That's the thing with the 300-year thing.
Sure.
You know,
that's a character from the current time will have to be connected to that somehow. You know what I mean? Like you have to take someone that can live that long. Maybe it's the Diana or whoever, and you got to connect them to that. You know, and what it seems with James Gunn, like he would probably make that a solo, the movie character, and then have the plot around them, something like that. Who knows? If Marvel recast characters like Tony, Steve, Hulk, etc. post Secret Wars, but not T'Challa, that's when I'm going to start to think Marvel is butthurt over what went down in Wakanda Forever. Yeah, man. I don't know. Coogler said he's working on something, and he said that Coogler is slated to do work, so we'll have to see what happens. Just like the Shia LaBeouf thing, I refuse to believe they chose Pedro as Mr. Fantastic because he was the right man. Pedro as Mr. Fantastico is the equivalent to Pedro as Hal Jordan.
Bro, that would drive me nuts. Listen, I mean, I can't stand Pedro as a person, but he is a great actor. And like, that's the one thing I kind of think when I don't know I think it was Matt Shackman who was talking about it. And he was just like, it was really about finding someone who could be a mad scientist, like an intellectual, a family man, a hero, and like it was really difficult to find one person who could do all of that and have the chemistry. And that made me think about the casting in a different way when I was like, I could maybe understand, like maybe Pedro was the guy that checked all those boxes the right way. And by the way, it also made me think of something else. It reaffirmed my belief in fan castings being intellectually inferior because I promise you, no one who's doing fan castings is thinking that way. And
Yeah.
like, there's a reason there are casting directors, and then there's a reason we're on Twitter.
Yeah, you are cooking. You're cooking right there. And it's facts. You know, Pedro, as I said, as annoying as he is a person, he is a great actor. And you know, I think he's gonna do a great job as Reed. You know, I think he's gonna do a great job. And look, I mean, and the other thing about Pedro too, where they would have been kind of dumb not to even think of him is that Pedro is big on the internet, but if we're talking about like box office, he has not had the movie that has done the billion yet, you know? Like he has not had the movie that is the movie. And so, you know, Pedro also isn't going to BS this because he understands the greater thing at play. And what is that thing? It's the bag. Why do you think Aaron Pierre is agreeing to do a show when he's a movie star at this point? Because he understands if he can land Jon Stewart to be in a movie, bro, it's the popularity, the money, the fame. I mean, that's what all these actors want, you know? And the reality is the big ticket is getting into a franchise like Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, you know, getting into these, you know, these U's. That's the future. And you know, so I understand it. Multiverse of Madness and only 2 universes were visited. Exactly, bro. And normally I don't like the cameo cash grabs, but when you name it the Multiverse of Madness, then there should have been more became exactly. And no Kane the Conqueror. It's crazy to me. And it's funny because I defend this movie so hard, but as time goes on, I hate the movie more and more. The funniest part is that that She-Hulk show was not comic accurate to the character. I don't have to read She-Hulk books to know that. I haven't read any to even say if it was
I don't mind her in small doses. Like when she pops into a comic, you know, she could be funny and whatnot. I would never read a She-Hulk comic in a million years, you know, and like I just wouldn't. And you know, I'm more likely to read a Supergirl comic. I wouldn't like. I don't care that they're making Winter of Tomorrow. I'll go see the movie. I'll probably like it. I don't need to read the comic. You know, I read enough comics where I'll always be knowledgeable on the characters because they'll pop up in other things.
yeah.
But you know, like I read comics because I love it. I don't read comics because I do content, you know, and there's a lot of people online that do the reverse. They read comics because they want to have more credibility in their content. And because of that, they read the bare minimum so they could try to be knowledgeable, but they end up being less knowledgeable because they're not just reading a ton and if you read a ton, you just become immersed in it. Like, and if you're only reading what they tell you the movie's inspired by, like, you know, you're going to miss out on most of the stuff anyway.
Yeah, they just don't like guys like my TikTok content now, y'all, has shifted to just talking about lore, just because I love it. Like reading Green Lantern, bro, and just learning about how the ring works, how much will you have to force into the ring. Like you don't catch stuff like that unless if you love it, you know, unless if you're actually reading because you love the comics, bro. And like as I said, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like at first, I was that trying to read just to be able to just to be able to like hop in content. But then when I read Batman, I started with that vibe, and then it just sucked me in. and then it's like, oh my god, this is like the greatest Batman story I've ever read in my life. You know, same thing with Fantastic Four. Oh my gosh, bro, that one just, I mean,
that was a game changer for you.
First issue, it was just like, okay.
Yeah,
this is what I have been seeing, you know, and I'm telling you guys, comics is the wave. All right,
really is.
Next thing here, y'all. Okay, so Kevin Feige talked about Mr. Miles Morales, and I want to read the full quote. He says this. He says, pull this up. Feige was more definitive about the potential of another highly anticipated Marvel character, Spider-Man's Miles Morales, showing up in the MCU in the near future. He said that is nowhere. He said until Sony Pictures, which holds the film rights to the character, completes its animated Miles trilogy with the 2027 Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Feige explained, "We've been told to stay away."
This is another W, by the way, because I said I thought Kevin Feige would introduce Miles in Secret Wars, but I also said the one way I could see that not happening is if Kevin Feige is like, you know what? Why don't I just let them keep Miles and keep them happy? And that is what played out. I said that's the only reason it doesn't happen. It's the only reason.
Yep. And you know, and look, I am all for Sony having a Spider-Man. I would love for them to do something with Miles and their Sony and finally get something going together. You know, and we just don't know what can happen. It could be a possible thing where Marvel Studios is able to do more with Peter because now we could possibly have a live action and active Miles. I actually would, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. I wouldn't like Miles being in the MCU. I would like Miles to be doing his own thing. Personally, and
We just haven't gotten like once we get more classical Spider-Man in the MCU, I'm open to Miles. But like if they're not going to do the Secret Wars moment, I push it off because it just feels like so much of Spider-Man was all about what the MCU needed and not just what Spider-Man needed and what fans want from Spider-Man. And it sounds like Kevin Feige understands that like Spider-Man is the number one, and Spider-Man fans want Peter Parker Spider-Man. We want classical Spider-Man, and that's what they're going to give it to us.
Yeah, and that's why, like right now, and even though I didn't care if the movie was going to be a multiverse story or street level, Tom Holland Spider-Man just feels incomplete. You know what I mean? It feels like there's something, and I know what it is. For me, it's Harry, it's Norman. Like I need MJ. Like I need the group together. I'm sick of seeing Ned all the time. I want the OG, people back. Like there's certain things that I want to see. And, I really think that we're going to be getting that with Spider-Man, Brand New Day and things like that coming out. So that was, and that is also a great point that I never thought about. Like they did use Spider-Man 2's like Homecoming and Far From Home.
I said that when we argued it, actually.
And I know you did, and I probably had some rebuttal, right? but that's a really great point. He was only used to serve the MCU. I need to think of some better rebuttals. I think you did.
Or don't pick a losing argument.
Yeah, stop talking. Yeah, I think having Disney do the Peter movies while Sony does the Miles movies. Exactly, bro. It works. Peter and Miles is not Batman and Robin. There's so much Marvel can do, which is exactly, bro. And I think Marvel Studios having the freedom to do what they want and Sony having their two Spider-Mans, bro. Imagine getting two Spider-Mans. Oh man, that'll be fire. Take the Into the Spider-Verse Miles back into his universe and have him be the live action for now. Yes, and then bro, like there's so many different Spider-Man characters. You really are fiending over Peter, bro. Like imagine how much money a Spider-Man 2099 movie would do. You know what I'm saying? With all the tech. Come on, bro.
So sick.
All right. Now, because you are the business one, I need you to break down this quality over quantity, all right? Yeah. So he said that after Avengers Endgame, it was quantity over quality at Marvel Studios. He said we've had well over 100 hours of stories in half of the time. That's too much. I think it led people to say it used to be fun, but now do I have to know everything about all these? Could you give us like a practical standpoint from like a business standpoint about pushing quantity over quality, and then also like just obviously tie like the MCU into that? Because I know some fans were a little confused about like what he was saying. Like, was he saying the amount is bad, or was it just the
what you have to think about is, first of all, he said like they had 50 hours of content from 2008 to 2019, and then from 2019 to now it's been 100 hours of content, which is insane. And what you also have to understand is that the consumer was used to getting quality from Marvel, and the consumer was happy with the quantity. And all of a sudden, Marvel decided to increase the quantity, but the quality went down. So the problem was exacerbated because we were getting hit with way more Marvel content than we ever have been, except almost all of it was trash. So like, keep this in mind. If you are buying, if you're buying a sandwich and you really like that sandwich, and all this, that's a bad example. If you're getting a product that you're happy with, and all of a sudden that product you're getting a lot more of it, but you're not happy with it, you're going to be very dissatisfied
Sure.
because you're getting a much more of it, but it's much shittier. So, you know, to increase quantity and drop quality is like one of the worst things you could do. And, you know, that's what they did. And a lot of it was because of the like Disney Plus and having to make these shows. But a lot of it also comes down to political messaging. Like, I'm not going to not say it because people are going to get offended when they hear it. It is the truth. And no, I don't count like, you know, I'm not talking about like Sam being Captain America. I don't have a problem with that. I love Sam as a character. I think anyone who has a problem with that is full of shit. And like, I am talking about the kind of dialogue we got from Sam Wilson at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am talking about America Chavez being the star of the final battle in a Doctor Strange movie. You know, and like it was so bad that actors thought they could go and say whatever the hell they want, like Brie Larson. And fans don't like hearing that kind of stuff. Okay. And yeah, there are some that do because they love political messaging as long as it's what they want to hear. But a lot of fans don't. And a lot of fans don't think that way. They don't want to be lectured to. I'm one of them. And like, it's ridiculous. So, you know, that was my big issue with Blue Beetle. I felt like the movie was like condescending to anyone who didn't have their worldview, which I certainly don't. So I think that was a big part of it. You know, I think Kevin Feige said, you know, well, Marvel is the world outside your window. And that's kind of like what he's always said, which that's not what people are complaining about. Yes, there are always going to be people who are going to complain about like, you know, race and and like it sucks. But that's not political messaging. That's just straight racism. We're talking about the messaging. We're talking about the content that is programmed a very specific way. And I think that's a big part of it. And when the quantity is increasing and the quality is going down, and you have politics as a part of the problem, it makes it very easy for people to just say, oh, Marvel went political. And now you have like the internet, which is ready to roast anything woke at any given moment. So it's an exacerbated problem. But, you know, if you're getting an increased quantity and a decreased quality, like that is going to exacerbate a problem because you're getting a lot more of a much shittier product when the product is known for a much higher standard of quality. And, you know, we got some good movies in the multiversal saga, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Widow was good, Shang-Chi was good, you know, Miss Marvel was a great show. I liked Quantumania. Most people didn't, but
Moon Knight, yep.
Yeah, Moon Knight. But a lot of people didn't like Moon Knight, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't like WandaVision. A lot of people did, but I think WandaVision was pretty split. I think there's a lot of people that loved it, and I think a lot of people hated it. I think it was like pretty close to 50-50 on that one. And listen, like, I don't intend to piss anyone off when I talk about like the political stuff. Like, I'm not here to talk about my own politics, but like, I'm not going to not call it out when it's so blatant and out in the open because number one, I believe it's wrong for that to happen. And like, I'm going to call it out because that's just my belief and my values. And I think it's important to be honest with you guys. You know, I just hope people don't, you know, are like, oh, you know, that's too much for me. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know?
Yeah, it is true. As I said, quality and look, And Kevin Feige would never say the politics ruin art because that would not be the best thing for him to say, right?
Right. And of
It
course he
just
has to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
I understand him saying the world outside our window.
yeah,
I understand that. And if someone doesn't understand that, like that is bigotry straight up.
exactly.
But that's not
Yeah,
what everyone is complaining about.
yeah,
And when people are complaining about that, that's not political, that's hate. That's a
yeah,
very different thing.
exactly. And there's a difference between like Sabra and Sam hate and like what's the word, scheduled propaganda, you know what I mean, like
Right.
that's like there's there and we stood up for characters like Sabra, Sam, etc. And really, I mean, even Miss Marvel, we were like, why are you guys tripping over this character, like she's
Right.
great, you know what I mean? So like, and even in and even if and like even for the America Chavez thing, like we don't hate her because she's Hispanic. No, we just didn't like the character because she was an abuse in the movie. Like they abused
Right.
her in the movie for no reason. Like so
I like
our
Falcon.
critique, yeah, exactly, because our critique has nothing to do with the race or gender of her, but it's
Yeah.
the way she was shoehorned into this Doctor Strange movie. So just want to toss it out there,
But
but
what I don't like is a lot of people who are like, "Oh, well, you're hateful, you're hateful," and then they're like, "Oh, well, Sabra shouldn't be in the show because she's Israeli." It's like, okay, well, now you're hateful, but you want to justify it for your bullshit reason. Like that
exactly.
is the highest order of hypocrisy.
Exactly. So yeah, but like is that? But at the same time, and that's funny because I do think that your reasoning is more of the reason why Marvel have fell off. But I do think like no, not a lot of people were watching shows, and Thunderbolts really showed that too. That no one really watched, a lot of the shows, which
Like
really shocked me, bro. It really shocked me that people didn't like.
I haven't watched Ironheart yet. I don't know if I'm going to.
Don't.
I didn't complete She-Hulk. And I'm a diehard fan. So I think that there is something to that. But like, my concern is that what they're going to do is change their strategy to fix the wrong problems. Like, I think that the shows could be potentially good. I think the movies, like, I don't want them to say, "Oh, well, we don't want this stuff to be homework, so we're going to make it less connected." Like, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Because what they were kind of saying about Thunderbolts is that people felt like, "Oh, well, I don't know who these characters are because I didn't watch these shows, so like now I have homework." Thunderbolts was great. I don't think that was the issue with Thunderbolts. I think the issue was the last couple of movies and shows were so bad that less people showed up. Like I always say, the Abercrombie thing. If you're going into Abercrombie and Fitch and all of a sudden you go in there over like a month or two, and each time you go in, you don't like anything that you see. Next time you go to the mall, are you going to go into Abercrombie? Probably not. And I think that's what happened with Thunderbolts. I don't think it was the homework thing. Like that's what makes the MCU special.
100%. 100%. Spider-Man 2099, Miles Morales, Ben Riley, list goes on. We get Venom, Mobius, Craven, and Madam Web. Yeah, and no Uncle Ben because I know you are a Uncle Ben guy. What made the MCU go bad? One, political messaging. Two, giving characters no one cares about shows or movies. Three, gender swaps, race swaps, sexuality swaps, etc. Four, too much of the three above facts. Steve giving the show to Sam and him becoming Cap is not woke. The woke was the Sam speech, the forced scenes like Jane, Mamadi Thor. This one exactly, and Jane could have been dope in the movie, bro. That's a wild thing. Wasted. People want to see Disney focus on storytelling without including diversity and inclusion. Sad to say this, people don't want to be honest. Where was that when Black Panther became one of the biggest grossing Marvel solo movies of all time? Black Panther is also on the top 50 list of the greatest movies of all time. And that is the most diverse cast that we've ever seen in Marvel movie history that honored Wakandan culture, that was obsessed with the culture of the world that is sin, not trying to tell us something about the world that we're in today, which is why it is one of the greatest movies of all time. So that right there just cooked you, bro. I would love to watch Love and Blunder with like 10 friends who are casuals. Or he watched it and they said the scene between Gore and Jane with the whole "you can't defeat me, Lady Thor" is not Lady Thor, it's mighty. Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty. That's nasty. Okay. Next, where we at? We were at the. Oh, okay. We're getting to the fun stuff now. The X-Men reboot. Okay, the X-Men reboot. So we have two sets of news. So first off, Kevin Feige confirmed that Jake Schreier is directing the X-Men film. He said we're very, very lucky to have him and very excited to he said it twice. Okay. It's all starting now. The script is underway, but I wanted to talk about the most important part. And it's funny because with me and you were talking, and we literally said that this is the age group we wanted. He
Yeah.
said that the X-Men reboot file will be a very youth-oriented, focused cast movie. Okay. This is W for you, because you're the one that said it. What are the pros of having a younger cast with the X-Men coming in and not like an older cast?
Well, I think that the younger cast will obviously, you can age them up, but like you get to see them in their younger years and you get to see them kind of go through those challenges and overcome them. And that character development you get to see from a really early point, which I think is going to be really cool. And I think it's going to make for a much more appealing, grounded story that is more character driven than spectacle. I think that they're going to do something really different with the X-Men, and I would say like prepare to be blown away and surprised, because I don't think anyone really has a clue on what's to come with X-Men.
What are the ages you want for Magneto and Professor X? Like, do you want them to still be like way older or a little older?
I would
do
say
you
a
think
little older. I like if they're going to be like 19 to 25. I would say like 40-ish, give or take.
Yeah. So like kind of still in their kind of like coming out of their primes a little bit, but still in their prime.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fire. Yeah. That is not a bad age, bro.
No.
I think the X-Men is going to be so big, bro. I really do. I think them and the teen what was it in DC? The teen
Teen Titans.
yeah. I think this little if they do it right with the right characters, I think this little teenage hero thing they got going on could really be like something big.
I actually hope they just do Titans. I hope they don't do Teen Titans.
Really?
Yeah, like I think that was cool on the show on HBO Max, and the current Titans run is pretty cool, and it's just called Titans. Like I think that I also think it would perform better. Like I think you are going to have a difficult time with Teen Titans. I think Titans would be a much better title to sell tickets for.
Yeah, it would. But I would definitely like, because I do think that they are going to put Damian Wayne in this, obviously. But I would love like kind of like how in the animated movies, not copying it per se, but I would like a Nightwing mentor of the team. Like I would like a character like that.
Nightwing's the main guy they got on the Titans for both the comic run I'm talking about from Tom Taylor and for the show. Exactly. What I also hope, by the way, is like if we're gonna have Damian, okay. If we're gonna have Nightwing, okay. Like no other Robins. There can't be like 10 Robins. That like I think Damian and Nightwing is, let's call a cap on it.
Yes. And James Gunn, the only way I will accept you bringing on Tim Drake is if you fix his character, and that's all. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. If you bring him on, fix him, please. That's the only way I will accept him. Okay. Red Hood would also be super awesome as well. All right. Next thing here, Kevin Feige talked about the MCU recast, which a lot of people were like mad about, bro. Like people were heated. So Kevin Feige indicates that iconic Marvel characters like Iron Man, Captain America will eventually be recast, not tomorrow, guys. That's what a lot of people are saying. They're like, oh, so like at the end of Secret Wars, we're going to see new Iron Man. Anyways, he said that, and this is what he said: they are searching for a new James Bond. David Cornswet is the new Superman. He was awesome. That will always be the case. Do you think fans are overreacting to this quote?
I didn't even know anyone was overreacting to it, but
yeah,
I'm sure
I've seen a few TikToks and tweets where people were like, "Wow, like no one will ever take the place of RDJ and what's his name, Captain America,
grow
Chris
the
Evans."
fuck up, okay? Like this is how it works. characters get recast. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to continue to play Iron Man. Okay, that doesn't mean we retire Iron Man. Chadwick is not here. That doesn't mean we retire T'Challa. Like, imagine telling that to the New York Giants, like, oh, you know what? Eli Manning's retired. Like, you don't get a quarterback. The game goes on, okay? The movies go on. It's the same thing. And you recast. Like, there have been multiple James Bond actors. There have been multiple Superman actors, okay? We've had 2 Magnetos. You know, we need a new Iron Man and a new Captain America. And, like, you don't know that they're not going to be great. Like, maybe they won't be Robert Downey Jr., but they're going to be different in some ways, and it'll be fun. Like, come on.
Exactly. And also, just because Feige's bringing them back, it also might possibly mean that other characters are going to be at the forefront, like the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. And Iron Man and Cap will be around, but they're not going to be like the forefront because of the actors. So, like, you never, and then, as you said, bro, they could just blow us away. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
You just never know what.
I would prefer to have a new Iron Man and new Captain America be the focus than the X-Men. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, dude. A new Iron Man. Dude, I would like a new Iron Man Cap right now. That'd be fun. I wouldn't mind it.
Same.
Hot take, but I prefer the 4, the big 4 X-Men: Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean, Storm, be played by actors around Corn Sweat, age of 30s. I don't want to see 20 Cyclops, but a Wolverine actor. It's funny, bro. I started seeing a bunch of fan art of Corn Sweat as Cyclops. I thought it was funny.
When they say young, like, that doesn't sound like 30 to me. That sounds like 20.
Yeah. I think they're going for like that Tom Holland age, that Timothy Chalamet, Tom Holland age. Yeah, like I think that with these characters, they're trying to literally redo what they did with Tom Holland,
right?
With the X-Men. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see them dropping the teen in the title. I don't know, bro. I don't know. If Brave and the Bold don't release till 2028 and they have Teen Titans in 2027 with Dick as Robin, and then he becomes Nightwing in the end, that would be crazy. Don't see it though.
Well, no, but
he becomes Robin during the but doing a Judas contract as your first Teen Titans movie, that would be terrible.
They can't have Damian as Robin. Like, I mean, sorry, they can't have Dick as Robin.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Because, like, Batman having 2 Robins in the first real, like, Batman and Robin live action, like, that's too much. You got to have Dick as Nightwing already.
100%.
And maybe I'm the best person to talk about this because I am, like, somewhat of an anti-Robin person for a Batman guy. Like, I'm a diehard Batman fan. I read every Batman comic. I read all the Batman comic lines. But, like, sometimes there's just a lot of Robins. Like, there's, like, 8 Robins. It's insane. And, you know, at some point at DC, they never were like, you know what, maybe this is a little much, you know? And I remember when they did that to Tim Drake, or I don't know if it was when, but I remember saying something about it to the guys at the comic store, and they were like, well, there's like 10 other Robins, so whatever, you know? Like, it's a lot, and it's too much. And the thing I don't like about a lot of Robins, or Robin sometimes in general, or the Bat family, is that they all need Batman to prop him up and, like, prop those characters up. And they don't really stand on their own. And, like, then it takes away from the best character, because why is Batman having to lift the narrative for other characters? That to me is crazy.
Yeah. And, like, I'm the biggest Robin fan ever, right? And I'm going to tell you, if you do this, like, Dick Grayson dropping Robin to become Nightwing, that's a whole situation, you know, that you would have to involve Batman in it, because him and Batman are at odds about his way of doing things. Then you have the Judas contract where he dropped. Like, that's just too much of a storyline. You also got to remember this: Dick Grayson leaving, you know, Batman to become Nightwing. It elevates the succession plan of Bruce Wayne's Batman, which automatically gives a elevation to Batman in the DCU already. So having a established character that is kind of doing his own thing, and then, you know, when Batman needs him, or, you know, he shows up from time to time, just like in the comics, like, you need that. like you need that if you want to showcase the Bat family. So having like Robin just become Nightwing, and then you go into Brave and the Bold where you have a Damian Wayne and then Nightwing's like just starting out, it just wouldn't work. Nightwing has to already be established as his own character, like before you even get there. Because
Batman,
then it would just, huh?
Batman doesn't need Nightwing.
What you mean?
Batman, like Batman.
No, I'm saying that no, but I'm saying yes, obviously from a pattern standpoint. I'm saying that if you are doing the Bat family in the DCU, you have to have a grown-up Nightwing where he's already established.
Okay.
You don't want to have a Nightwing where he's just starting out because it's just gonna be too much going on. Versus where like Nightwing, like he's fine, like he's good. He's already established. Like Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne doesn't have to check on him 24/7, and he can put his full focus on Damian. And then, if he needs Dick to watch him, he'll pop up. Pause. You know what I'm saying? So
No.
that's kind of and that's the way I like it in comics as well, where Bruce is more of like, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? In his own way of saying it. And like, you're good, like you're good on your own.
Yeah.
That's the kind of relationship I want, not necessarily where like Dick Grayson has to rely on him for the plot. And if you were doing a new Nightwing just starting out, that's how it would feel, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it would make more sense for Nightwing to be a little more experienced, and then you could have Nightwing butt heads with Damian. And like, if they're gonna have anyone else, like it depends because, I don't know if you guys are aware, but like it's funny because sometimes you'll meet people who are like, "Oh, I'm a Batman fan," and like I read Batman comics, and then they don't even know Alfred's been dead for like 10 years. Okay, so Batgirl or Oracle is really the one who he talks to when she's in, the clock tower. That they have their base in the clock tower. Even if you don't read comics, like you probably know that from
Games,
Arkham. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, I don't know. I think they're going to use Alfred. Alfred's familiar. People know Alfred. I think they're going to have Alfred. Which I would kind of like to see the Alfred death story play out. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like the Bat family, I just hope the Bat family is too big. And if you do Alfred, you don't have to have Batgirl. So,
Yeah, I like I say, and you know me, I love the Bat. I love the Bat family, and after reading comics, it made me love them even more. But like, I would love to keep it simple to where like I'm cool with Nightwing, Damian Wayne, and if you had a third, Red Hood would be fired to pop up every now and then, but make it like an in doses type of situation. Like, so that's kind of how I my favorite situation is like in Court of Owls when the Talons were like assassinating a bunch of people and he called them up and they came and just shut it down, but the story still ended on Batman's own 10 toes and his own legs.
Yeah.
That's how I would like the stories to be, and James Gunn, I hope you're reading those types of comics because like that Court of Owls run is the perfect example of where the like Dick and Damian and them are present, but it's still Batman's story, so hope that they keep it like that way. Here's the thing on Robins. I think with a slight tweak in lore and mythos, that's what I'm gonna say, you can still do 4 Robins, but only 2 main Robins. Which is what Gunn might do thanks to the dynamic duo and Brave and the Bold.
Why? Like, this is the one thing I don't like about DC is like everyone's always worried about which Robin, which Flash. Like, why are there so many Flashes? There's so many. There's multiple Green Lanterns. There's multiple Flash. There's multiple Robin. It's like, why not just use the best of the best and like cut the fat,
DC Studios won't have to earn back trust of audience. Superman isn't going to be enough. It's just looking like it's enough right now, brother. Because casuals are even into it. Alfred is actually the perfect person to kill off in the 3rd movie of a DC Batman.
I agree. I think they should. I think they should kill off Alfred because it would be such a big moment. Like, you got to do it.
And nothing's fired than him saying Oracle. I'm sorry. Saying Oracle's fire. Definitely when you're playing the Arkham games. DCU, Batman family, Batman, Catwoman, Nightwing, Robin, Damian, Red Hood pops up every now and then. Tim up in the air. Yeah, just tell me that Tim's there. I don't really want to see him unless if you're going to actually like fix his character. That's at least how I feel about it. Like whenever I see Tim in comics, it just gets cringe. All right. Next topic. Let's talk about some Spider-Man. Where we at? Spider-Man, Brand New Day. So Feige says some things I think a lot of us are going to like here. Kevin Feige confirms that Spider-Man: Brand New Day will be a street level film. We are seeing for the first time in the Tom Holland Spider-Man stories him being a proper Spider-Man, him being by himself, dedicated to saving the city and dealing with, for the lack of better terms, street level crime as opposed to world like ending events. He also said that he also teased that multiple Spider-Man comic covers will be brought to life in Spider-Man Brand New Day. He said that Destin is doing an amazing job. He's got 8 to 9 comic covers up on his wall in his art department that he is bringing to life. Another thing that I wanted to talk about too while we're here, he did talk about the whole Punisher stuff and how he wants to do kind of the show stuff going forward. And he did talk about one of the priorities is like some of the Disney Plus characters will be in the movies, you know what I mean? And he wants to make sure that that's a thing. But he said that but he said he wants to connect the characters to the movies, not the show plots to the movies, which is a really big difference. You know what I mean? So how do you feel about him just confirming that this is a street level file and that they're doing the comic book covers and him about talking about like how about the TV show characters will be on the movie screens from time to time.
So, first of all, I love all of it because number one, I told you I remember everything. I knew the number 9. So, here's the thing: they need to make their TV shows like they need to give us a reason to watch them. And if some of the characters are going to pop up in the movies, that gives us a reason, and like this is what I've been saying Spider-Man needs for a long time. And I am a diehard Spider-Man. I'm even fidgeting with the fucking Spider-Man right now. So, but he's just the GOAT. And you got to have a Spider-Man who's the GOAT stand on his own and give us like a true classical Spider-Man movie. And this movie sounds like it could be the biggest Spider-Man movie ever. Like it sounds like it could be bigger than No Way Home, bigger than Across the Spider-Verse. If they do it right, maybe it'll even be better than Spider-Man 2. I cannot wait. And the fact that Punisher is going to be in this is going to be so insane. I just want to find out more about the villains. Like, who confirmed Silver Samurai? Was it the Hollywood Reporter or
I think it was Variety.
Friday? Yeah, like that's the one thing I'm like, really? But it sounds like they're making the right move. Like, why not just do Mr. Negative? He's so cool.
Bro.
Oh, dude, whenever Mr. Negative pops up in a comic, I'm like, yes. But yeah, it sounds like they're making the right move. It sounds like they understand what the fan demand is for this movie, and they're going to give it to us.
Yeah, this is very interesting, bro, because this is what you call a reset. This is what we're going to call a reset. Like, and it's like they're not recasting the character, but they're bringing him back to his roots in a way.
I would call it a reset because it's the direct continuation from No Way Home, and that's what Brand New Day is in the comics.
But I will say that this is a reset because like everyone's forgotten about him. He doesn't have the tech anymore. He's doing his own stuff. It's kind of like or let me just say it's kind of like a track. It's like a track back to his roots. You know what I mean? Of like him being poor. You know what I mean? Like right. and like yes, he was poor, but like he kind of had the Stark tech to his disposal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really like this. I really like where they're taking him. And oh my gosh, and guys. It's not because I relate to him. I just think he's a dope character. Like, okay? Because I'm so sick of people saying, oh, I can't relate to Peter Parker. A lot of us can't, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah. I just can't. I'm sorry.
Same. I don't relate to him, and he's my favorite character. Like
exactly, bro. Like, dude, the same way I love Robin, I am not an acrobat, bro. Like, this is not. It's not the case. All right. Let's see. Nightwing established Red Hood and we said that already. DC Studios going to have to earn. We said that already. Alfred is actually. This is a wild thing to write, but whatever. Alfred is actually the perfect person to kill off in the third movie, right? I read this already. My only concern with recast T'Challa or T'Challa Jr. is audiences will reject Black Panther 3 just to teach Marvel Studios a lesson. I will tell you this: if Damson Idris is confirmed as T'Challa, everybody will go see it. And that's just facts. I'm sorry, he is the dude. Look on how people celebrate Anthony Mackie's Captain America Fell, Dominic Thorne's Ironheart Bomb, and people going to reject Yahab Mateen
Black Panther
Abdul.
1 did $1 billion. What are you talking about? This is like, you are lying. That is not the reason.
Yeah, bro. No. Yeah, and
I don't believe that you believe this.
yeah, and you're also failing to understand the context behind all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because as much as you say this, the funny part is like Monica Rambeau gets none of the hate. It's just the funny part. There's black characters out there that's dope. M'Baku gets no hate. So like, bro, stop it, bro. Stop it. Stop it. All right. All right. Now, Kevin Feige talked about the Fantastic Four in Avengers Doomsday. Don't mind the art, guys. I just wanted to troll the people that think that Iron Man is Doctor Doom. I thought the dream was funny. So it says this: Kevin Feige says some characters will visit the Fantastic Four's universe in Avengers Doomsday. He said, "We're shooting all on the same sets that we built for Fantastic Four, and it is very fun. I would say the now iconic Baxter Building living room and kitchen where we saw the four get to know each other. Let's say there are a lot more people in that kitchen in Avengers. Excuse me." And it's fun to literally see people coming into each other's homes, which is pretty awesome. What did this quote tell you? And like, what did you gather from this quote about the F4?
It sounds like a scene where they had to escape the main timeline Earth and they hid out in the Fantastic Four Earth. And when they were hiding out from the Fantastic Four Earth, they needed to meet and plot for how to save the day in Avengers Doomsday, which indicates this is my theory based on the quote, which indicates that maybe the Fantastic Four Earth does survive in First Steps.
Yeah, and maybe it's the MCU that gets cooked in Doomsday.
Yeah. And listen, I don't know how much I think I'm right on this. Like, this is just me kind of freestyling what I think this quote means, because now when I think about my theory, I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it could play out that way, I guess, but I don't know how much I believe in it.
If the MCU got cooked in Doomsday, that would be crazy. Like our MCU Earth, that would be insane. And then on the Fantastic Four Earth, and that's how the movie like starts. That would be an insane way to start the movie.
My theory for Avengers Doomsday is that either the center of the movie or the climax of the movie is going to be the last incursion, which was in issue 1 of Secret Wars. And the last incursion was the 616, which is the main Earth of the Marvel Comics universe, and 1610, which is the Ultimates universe. So those two Earths are colliding, and they saved themselves on a life raft, and that life raft ended up on Battle World because it was the only place to go. So I think that is kind of going to be the story around Avengers Doomsday. And it's going to take us into Secret Wars on Battle World, where Secret Wars isn't going to be about incursions. Doomsday will.
Fair take. I like it. All right. Now, Feige talked about his plan with Marvel Studios, and he said, and look, there's a lot of talks. People thought that he was going to go to Lucasfilm because they were talking about that for a moment. Some people thought he was possibly going to do a movie for James Gunn. A lot of talk was being talked about. Some people thought he was going to go to HBO and take over the Game of Thrones stuff. But he plans to continue overseeing Marvel Studios for the next, hear this, guys, 10 to 15 years. He said, that's all I want to do. Marvel's a great way to do that for me right now, but I hope to make big movies for lots of people forever. Does it shock you that Kev, like, he wants to stay?
No, not at all. I always thought he was going to stay because he built this thing from day one. Like, where else would he want to go?
Exactly. Why would you leave something that you built that's this big? You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, a part of that is ego. I'm saying, like if that was me, I would have too much ego for someone to take my spot, bro.
I see it a little differently. Like, and I'm sure he does have an ego, which I don't knock him for.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, he's going to be proud of what he's built and accomplished,
True. I mean, he he is the first guy to do this universe like this. You know what I mean? Ever. I mean, it's
Right. Like
you know.
at James Gunn's kind of making some comments and whatnot, but like James Gunn wouldn't be where he is without Kevin Feige. I highly doubt Disney. I'm sure Kevin Feige had a hand in Disney rehiring James Gunn. And like, you wouldn't even be thinking about doing a DCU if Kevin Feige didn't invent the MCU. Like, come on.
Do you think that when Feige finally does retire, do you think he's going to be looked at as one of the goats, if not already?
100%. He is the most successful producer of all time in Hollywood right
Spit.
now.
Yep.
Like,
Talk.
it's a fact. Okay. So, I mean, I think he should go down as one of the goats right now.
100%. 100%. All right. Now, I wanted to talk about this whole script situation because a lot of people were yapping about it. So first off, Michael Dwadron, the Loki writer, is working on Doomsday. Makes sense. He's the one that kind of made the multiverse rules. Why would he not be having some type of hand on this? It makes sense. So Kevin Feige talked about filming a movie without a script because there's been a lot of rumors going around saying that Doomsday started with no script at all, nothing at all. And so Feige said this. He said, "We've never started filming a movie without a full script. And I've never been satisfied with a script that we've had. I've never been satisfied with a movie that we've ever put out." So why is it that people like keep tripping over this script stuff and saying that they always start movies with no script and all of this jazz? Could you just break down how that works with like the whole script situation?
Yeah. So, what people need to understand is that Marvel doesn't start shooting a movie without a completed script. However, that script gets changed. There are three stages: there's pre production, there's production, and then there's post production. Now, they will make changes in all three. And like, they don't start shooting without a set script, but that script gets changed as the movie is being made, and they're like, this might be better than that, or this looks better than this, or this scene didn't come out the way we thought it would, things of that nature. So, like, and James Gunn knows this. James Gunn's made movies, and he's made movies at Marvel. So, like, when he says, oh, well, we don't start shooting without a completed script, it's almost like you're gaslighting everyone, like, because you know how Marvel works, and you're not gonna somehow be a unicorn where your script doesn't get changed. Obviously, your movie was edited and was tested and all that kind of stuff. So, like, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that was my whole thing, bro. And it's like, and then there's like these DCU nights that want to go on, like, talking about bro puffed up his chest only to reveal in the same interview that they had to bring on Michael Dwadron to help with the Doomsday script, a rumored unfinished script, by the way, for a movie they're actually filming right now. Like, and this is the thing. I mean, it's common sense. The movie always starts with the full script, and there's edits. I mean, it's not rocket science. And for Marvel Studios, that's the way they've always done it, and that's how we've gotten some of the greatest movies of all time and some of the worst files of all time.
By the way, a lot of these DCU like nights, as you call them, a lot of them don't read comics like at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just movie fans.
They're just movie fans. They're just big Star Wars people that like, they kind of like Marvel. Some of them really like Marvel, but like they hear Superman and they're like, the archetype of superheroes. Superman.
Yeah, and it's like, and I just don't like bias, you know what I mean? And that's why, guys, I am happy that you guys got this, and that's why, like, I'm happy that we got to see Slab and him on, because Slab is one where that man loves Superman, but he's not gonna let his bias get ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of guys that we need. Where like some of these dudes, bro, they are just putting on the cape, man.
We wouldn't have someone on our show if we thought they were biased, okay? Unless we were going to call them out for
it. which could possibly happen soon, guys. I would love that. All right. And then last topic of the night before we could get out of here, wanted to talk about Chris Hemsworth, bro, because I was really shocked that even this came up in conversation. So, and it was funny because Chris Hemsworth gave this like well, everybody thought it was like a goodbye thing, but he said that Kevin Feige believes that Chris Hemsworth is still in his prime and can continue playing Thor in the MCU. You know, I do view Thor kind of as Spider-Man, where I think a lot of fans just feel like his story is just not done. Like he's not finished yet. Do you agree with Feige saying that like there's so much more to do with him as Thor?
Hell yeah, bro. I love Thor. Thor is such a great character, like he is like the trying to think of the right word. He's like a medieval space god like that. There's so much you could do with it, and I think he's a great character. I think Thor: Love and Thunder was so bad. I also hate Thor Ragnarok, but
Yeah.
I think they need to like return to comic accurate form for Thor.
100%. I agree with everything you say, bro. I think that um this it's just like they've just played too much with Thor, and you can't. And when I was at lunch with my aunt on Friday, and she complained about Thor: Love and Thunder, and she's the most casual fan ever, you have a problem. If your casual fans hate your guy and he's supposed to fit the mold of the funny character, it's just time to change. I want Savage Thor. I don't want you to hold back. Give me Thor the Savage. And so we do got a little more time, Jerry. So I wanted to ask you a quick question that was kind of going viral last week. Two of them. The first one was the DCU said that, or James Gunn said that the DCU likely won't introduce Flash or Aquaman for the next 2 years. I kind of wanted to hear how you felt about that. Like I saw some people overreacting, so I wanted you to to bring some quick logic too of why we probably won't see them for the next 2 years.
Well, yeah, because they were. I liked the Flash, but a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people rightfully had issues with the DCEU's Aquaman, but like the characters, they need to create scarcity for these characters so these characters are in demand for live action again. And the only way to do that is to not see them for a bit. And like the other thing is they need to save character introductions for down the line, like big character introductions. They can't just introduce all the big stars now. Like they have to save some for down the line. And Flash and Aquaman are just the perfect ones because they need to create that scarcity so the demand increases. And like it's just like all the stars align for them to be benched for a bit.
100%. Yeah, and exactly. And that was my thing too, bro. I was like, bro, they already have like a slate of scripts already done. Like, that's come on.
Well, they could do. They could. I mean, they could if they wanted a Flash script, they could get a Flash script.
Like, yeah, for sure.
So, I think it's really about creating the demand.
True. And then the second thing is, have you been hearing about this whole world's finest glaze?
I hate like that. It actually really bothers me because
why?
Like, bro, the fact that there are people who rip on the Snyderverse all day and now suddenly want the sequel to Superman to be world's finest before we get a Batman introduction. Like, it's the same thing. Do you actually hate the Snyderverse, or like it's so inauthentic? It's hypocrisy to the extent that it's inauthentic. It makes your entire position inauthentic.
100%.
I think it's a stupid idea for them to do it. I don't think they're doing it. I think they basically said they're not. And if they did, like, they would be making the same mistake, one of the biggest mistakes that the Snyderverse made. And like, one of the things they get the luxury of is there being a precedent of how not to do things. And if you could learn from someone's mistakes without making them yourself, that's a luxury, and don't throw that away.
100%, bro. And that is the thing, I guess, that's maybe a little different from DC studios than Marvel studios, that they have all these like not slated, but they have all these like, what's the word? Like important to superhero fandom titles that we all grew up with that we would love to see. And for some reason, everybody spams World Finest 24/7. And like, I get it. Like, Batman, Superman is awesome. I get it. But like, there's a bigger picture.
I'm not saying they can't do it, but like,
built, you know what I mean?
It shouldn't be down the line, sure, but
Yeah.
that can't be the sequel to Superman 1.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't just force feed that. Definitely without establishing like Brave and the Bold first. You know what I mean? So would you still be shocked if Batman pops up before that movie in something?
No,
You wouldn't really. I thought you would be.
no, I think that he could pop up in a cameo or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but I don't think it would be proper to have him like as part of the title of a movie. Like,
yeah. 100%.
like World's Finest to me is like, it's you just change the V to an N sign and there you go. Like, it's the same kind of thing. So,
I
but
also went. Sorry.
I think they could totally have him cameo to build hype like that. But that's a big difference from doing a Batman and Superman movie.
All of their Superman 2 ideas I'm hating right now. Superman versus the Authority just sounds terrible, guys. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not feeling that for Superman 2.
I don't think they're gonna do like a typical sequel. James Gunn said something about like how the next Superman movie isn't really a direct sequel to Superman. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I think it's going to be a small scale crossover rather than Superman solo with a villain. Like I think there will be other characters involved.
Yeah. Something I learned with Superman after reading the terrible, not terrible, but it's not terrible, but the mediocre New 52 comics is that Superman is more interesting in other people's comics and in other people's stories. So like
A lot to be fair, people always say that New 52 Superman sucks. I
yeah,
haven't read it, but like it has a
yeah,
really
it's
that
bad.
run has a
It's
really
bad.
bad rap.
It's bad. And I have like other runs that I have down I have those popular runs that I got which I'm definitely going to read eventually. But I'm but like
What
I
made you read New 52 Superman?
it was because when we were on with Cosmic, he said it's been stuck in my head. So I was like, I just want to read it just to see, you know what I mean, if it was that good. And then my other friend vouched for it hard at Second and Charles. So I was like, you know what, let me just try it out, see what happens. And then I texted him, I said, dude, I'm never taking a recommendation from you again.
Yeah.
And Cosmic, I'm never taking a rec from you again either, bro. I'm sorry. That series was terrible. But yeah, but like when I read him in Green Lantern and in some other runs, I enjoyed him more. And so, you know, I could see Corn like as much as I think Cornswell has shined in his own Superman movie, I think he could shine even more in other projects with other characters. Like I wouldn't mind him being in other movies, playing roles. Like I think that would be fun too. Like it doesn't just have to be his own. Like it doesn't have to be a Superman coded movie all the way. He could kind of be Superman, but be in someone else's story and still have an impactful role. Kind of like how like just an example is like the animated Supergirl like origin where Kal-El first found her, and then they had her go train with the Amazons, which is a fire idea, by the way. But and then Darkseid tried to go and grab her, and then Superman fights Darkseid and Batman and Diana. Like there's cool like you could do something not that like that exactly, but I mean there's stories like that where he could fit in, and not have to be like Superman 2, So
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a small scale crossover, like so maybe something cool will come out of it. I do think that James Gunn is doing things differently, and he's going to innovate, and the DCU is going to feel very different from what the MCU is. But when he makes comments like, "Oh, we're doing things differently," and like it's not that different, it's like, I also think Marvel is going through some changes right now, so I think Marvel is going to innovate on their own. And like I think a lot of that innovation is going to overlap because like they are creatives and they are in the same space. So they're going to identify the same issues of comic book movies today, and they're going to identify what fans are demanding today. And as much as they are innovators and creators, they live and die in the same landscape. So they're going to see the same things when they're innovating.
Yeah, sure. We are in for a treat these next few years, these next
Hell yeah.
next 10 to 15 years. We're about to see some crazy stuff. So, all right, we hope you guys had a great time joining us on the show. We are just so happy that we're here to talk to you guys. It is Fantastic Four week. We are so excited to see it. And we can't wait to talk to you about it next week. And look, stay and stay. Obviously, we always give like a non-spoiler review, whether it's on X or Threads or TikTok or wherever. So just be on the lookout for our thoughts after seeing this file. Jerry and I both are excited. We've been talking about this for
I'm
years.
pumped, man.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
Fantastic Four, one of my top favorites. I cannot wait. And yeah, man, this day can't come any sooner.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yep.
So, all right, homies. We hope you guys had a great time with us. Have a great night. Peace out.
Peace.